Welcome, Shadow Seekers, to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today, we're unearthing a tale that'll haunt your thoughts long after it ends. Whether you're glued to the screen or just listening in, you're in for a wild ride through history's darkest corners. If you're new, hit subscribe to join our mission of exposing America's hidden truths. Regulars, your likes fuel our journey into the unknown. Now, let's peel back the layers of time and reveal the secrets beneath. Ready? Let's begin. The Little Rock Nine, the courageous stand that changed America. Hello, friends, and welcome to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today we're traveling back to September 4th, 1957, a day that would become a defining moment in the struggle for civil rights in America. On this date, 9 brave African-American students, known as the Little Rock Nine, attempted to enter Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, only to be met with a wall of resistance that would shock the nation and change the course of history. But before we dive into the events of that tense September day, I want to thank each and every one of you for your incredible support. Your likes, comments, and shares aren't just numbers to us. They're the lifeblood of this channel. You're doing an amazing job spreading the word about these important stories, and we couldn't be more grateful. Your engagement truly allows us to shed light on these pivotal moments in history that continue to shape our nation. What drives children to stand up against a system of oppression? How does a community respond when faced with the dismantling of long-held prejudices? And why does this moment in 1957 continue to resonate in America's ongoing conversation about race and education? To understand the significance of this day, we need to step back and look at the broader context of the civil rights movement. Just 3 years earlier, in 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court had handed down its landmark Brown v. Board of Education decision, declaring that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. This ruling was supposed to pave the way for school integration across America. However, in much of the South, including Arkansas, resistance to integration remained fierce. Enter the Little Rock Nine: Ernest Green, Elizabeth Eckford, Jefferson Thomas, Terrence Roberts, Carlotta Walls Lanier, Minijon Brown, Gloria Ray Karlmark, Thelma Mothershed, and Melba Patillo Beals. These 9 African-American students, ranging in age from 15 to 17, had volunteered to be the first to integrate Central High School, a bastion of white education in the city. They were handpicked for their resilience and strength of character, well aware of the dangers they faced. The stage was set for a showdown between federal law and state resistance. On one side stood the Little Rock Nine, supported by the NAACP and the federal courts. On the other, Arkansas Governor Orval Faubus, who was determined to prevent integration at all costs. As September 4th dawned, tension hung heavy in the air. The night before, Governor Faubus had made a fateful decision. In a televised address, he announced that he had called in the Arkansas National Guard, not to protect the 9 students, but to prevent them from entering Central High School. The Little Rock Nine, unaware of Faubus's actions, prepared to make history. But as they approached the school, they were met with a shocking sight. Armed National Guardsmen stood at the ready, blocking their path. Behind them, an angry mob of white segregationists had gathered, their faces contorted with hate. Perhaps the most iconic and heartbreaking image from that day is of Elizabeth Eckford, one of the Little Rock Nine, walking alone through the mob. She had missed the group's gathering point and arrived alone. With her head held high, dignified in a crisp white dress, she walked through a gauntlet of jeering white faces. A white woman followed her closely, shouting racial slurs, while others screamed at her to turn back. This image would become one of the most powerful symbols of the civil rights era. As the students were turned away, the eyes of the nation turned to Little Rock. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, initially reluctant to intervene in state affairs, found himself facing a constitutional crisis. Governor Faubus had openly defied federal law, and the president could not allow this challenge to go unanswered. For the next 3 weeks, a tense stalemate ensued. The Little Rock Nine attempted to enter the school several more times, each time being turned away. The mob outside Central High grew larger and more violent. On September 23rd, the 9 finally entered the school, only to be evacuated when the police feared they couldn't control the riotous crowd. Finally, on September 25th, President Eisenhower took decisive action. He federalized the Arkansas National Guard and sent in the 101st Airborne Division to escort the Little Rock Nine into Central High School. It was the first time since Reconstruction that federal troops had been deployed to enforce civil rights. The sight of combat-ready paratroopers on the streets of an American city shocked the nation, but it ensured that desegregation would move forward. Under the protection of federal soldiers, the Little Rock Nine were finally able to enter Central High School. However, their ordeal was far from over. Throughout the school year, they faced constant harassment, threats, and even physical violence from their white classmates. Yet, they persevered, and in May 1958, Ernest Green became the first African American to graduate from Central High School. The events in Little Rock had far-reaching consequences. They exposed the deep-seated resistance to desegregation in the South and forced the federal government to take a more active role in enforcing civil rights. The crisis also became a pivotal moment in the nascent civil rights movement, inspiring activists and demonstrating the power of nonviolent resistance. The courage of the Little Rock Nine in the face of hatred and violence was extraordinary, especially considering their youth. Their lives were forever changed by that school year, and each went on to achieve remarkable things in their own right. Their actions helped to inspire a nation and showed the world that the fight for equality would not be silenced. As we reflect on the events of September 4th, 1957, we're left with profound questions about the nature of progress, the power of individual courage, and the long shadow cast by America's history of racial discrimination. How far have we come since that tense day in Little Rock? What battles for equality are still being fought in our schools and communities today? The story of the Little Rock Nine is more than just a historical footnote. It's a reminder of the courage it takes to stand up for one's rights, the ugliness of racism and its defenders, and the ongoing struggle to live up to America's ideals of equality and justice for all. This is American Shadows, where we peer into the darker corners of our nation's past. Until next time, remember that history isn't just a collection of dates and names. It's a living thing that continues to shape our world today. The echoes of September 4th, 1957, continue to resonate, reminding us of how far we've come and how far we still have to go. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep watching American Shadows. For in understanding our past, we gain insights that can help us build a more just and equitable future. And once again, thank you for your incredible support. Your engagement is what makes these stories come alive.